Hey everybody. It's Marisol. I don't know how you know me. I think on the intro I got Mari. I don't remember. Anyway, notice I got an intro. I'm working on it. So today's, as I mentioned in the intro, is about negative energies in the paranormal, specifically how we can protect ourselves from them. Um, but of course, I'm going to talk about the effects they have on people too. So, um, normal disclaimer, we really don't know what we're recording in the paranormal. We have no idea if it's something that we need to worry about. We don't know if it's really communication with the dead or with another realm, or maybe we're just recording background noise from somewhere. I don't know what we're recording. I like to believe it's from another realm, but we really don't know. And the reason we really don't know is because science won't accept our data yet. Because they can't set up the experiment the way we do, repeat the experiment the way we do, and get the same processes or same results that we do. So until we can, because ghosts are fickle, they're not going to stick around when you want them to. So they can do all the other stuff. They can record, they can set up the scene, they can go to the same places. But if the ghosts don't feel like talking, they're not going to talk. And that to them, that's not science. So until we can get that worked out, we probably won't know what we're recording, you know? Well, we might. You never know how things go. Anyway, now I'm done with that. So what are negative energies in the paranormal? Well, there are things that we can't see necessarily. Some of us can sense them in one way or another. I know that there are some psychics who can sense negative energies by feeling them, sometimes even by other ways of doing it. They just know from their gut that they're in there. Anyway, that's not a perfect science itself. So some people sense them, some people don't. But there are some pretty strange ideas running around there about the paranormal world. So take what you can, leave the rest, don't judge. So negative energies are thought to be malicious or malevolent or perhaps harmful forces that can affect a person's mental, emotional, and physical well-being. And there are several types of negative energies, but I'm only going to get into 5 because I didn't think y'all wanted to listen to me drone on and on and on and on. So anyway, the 5, the first one I'm going to talk about is malevolent spirits or entities. These are things you often find in the YouTube videos of ghostly goblins and stuff, because that's what sells. That's the stuff that everybody seems to want to see, is when ghosts really make themselves known, and not necessarily in a good way. It's more exciting, right? So anyway, I take them seriously. I think the TV shows should as well, but these are depicted in folklore and other ways, and us, as spirits that may have unresolved issues, grudges, trauma that they had from when they were alive, and they're reliving it, and they're trying to work it out, and they're trying to figure it out. They're believed to cause disturbances, fears, and even negative emotions, just plain old negative emotions. They're not fun to deal with, but they're not the worst that are out there. The caveat there is that every one of these that I'm going to talk to, including malevolent spirits and entities, can go home with you. You have to be careful of that. And I'll talk about that more later. So dark energy is a more abstract form that we like to use. It's kind of a catch-all phrase for when we know that there's something going on, but we're not quite sure what it is. So We walk into a room that's just a room, the lights might be on, but we'll say, God, it's dark in here, because we sense something there, but we don't know what it is. And this is often, again, you'll find this in a lot of the TV shows because it draws audiences. But on the serious side, it can cause a lot of hatred, anger, and fear, and dark energy. And here's the thing that scares me about dark energy is that it can be created not just by ghosts per se, but individuals or even absorbed negative environments. You might find dark energy at the concentration camps in Germany and Poland. You might find dark energy at where the trade towers, the World Trade Centers were bombed. That kind of thing. You might find it, but then those are environmental issues. And well, with Auschwitz, it's probably human as well. But anyway, residual hauntings, these probably are the ones that you don't need to worry about as much. They're considered residual hauntings, sorry, my hands, are considered imprints of past events or emotions that are replayed in a location over and over again. Sometimes it's a traumatic event. Sometimes it's just an event that made a strong impression on those people who were involved at the time. And not really a good thing to have come home with you. Interesting to us because that tells us that you don't need a tape recorder to record things. Some things can be recorded on the atmosphere itself or on objects itself. And that's how they can go home with you because they can latch on. If it's just a residual though, it might be uneasy because you're seeing that event over and over again. It'll sneak into your dreams. It'll be something you see. You'll be thinking about it all the time, but you can get rid of it just as easily, So anyway, I'll get into that later. Environmental factors are another thing. I mentioned something about the concentration camps and the World Trades, but these energies can be associated to specific places, like the concentration camps, or objects that are believed to be haunted or cursed. So great grandmother's wedding ring that she brought back from the old country, and it's been passed down for generations upon generations. Few of those generations have tried to pawn it to get some extra money, and it always winds up coming back to them for one reason or another, along with bad luck, a period of bad luck because it left the family. That kind of thing, or outright, if you own this, and this is going to happen to you. I think one of the larger diamonds in the world is supposed to have a curse on it, but I don't remember which one. So anyway, as far as a place, I mentioned the concentration camps, but it could also be like a haunted house. You remember the haunted house that nobody wanted to go anywhere near when you were a child because you could see things and feel things and all that from it, and it was scary. Yeah, so we find that children really feel those energies quite a bit. So I'm not surprised that kids shy away from haunted houses. Okay, so why do you want to protect yourself from them? Well, I mean, apart from the obvious, you don't want to take anything home from a haunting that might be harmful to you or your friends and your loved ones. So but the other reasons are negative energies can drain your vitality and your energy. We see that proof of that all the time, not necessarily scientific, but you go in with a lot of electronic equipment when you're doing investigations. And you also take a ton of extra batteries or battery packs or whatever it is you're your equipment needs to stay charged, because ghosts are really good at snatching the energy from those devices to use for themselves. It's happened to me. I'll have my camera all set up, it's ready to go. I've got 4 hours of charge on the battery, my memory card's in there, I'm psyched. And then just as I turn it on and the first ghosts start to appear, there goes the energy. And subsequently, whatever might have been on that camera, unless I saved it, you know. And if you don't know when a ghost is going to take the energy, it's hard to save it because you just don't know. But that kind of thing, if that happens, if it's starting to sap your energy, you're going to feel sluggish and unmotivated. You might have mood swings. You might have depression. Depending on what's attached to you, you might have anxiety. And it just might be weird feelings, you know. Some of these are really kind of subtle sort of things. Negative energies can also mess with your health. I mean, as if anxiety and depression weren't enough, right? So some of these negative energies can contribute, if not cause, health problems. The ones that I'm safest mentioning here are like headaches, stomach aches, and muscle pain, all of which I've experienced. In my case, I've experienced also the mood swings, anxiety, and depression. And I know there are some people who claim that these energies can also cause cancers, but I have yet to find proof of that or anybody who has experience of that. So it seems like it's an urban legend. An urban legend, that would make a lot of sense. So yeah, don't think it's going to cause cancer. It's not going to cause cancer. As far as we know, these are not going to cause cancer, but they can cause other kinds of discomfort. They can influence your thoughts and behavior, which is another scary one for me. Negative energies mess with your head. They can make you feel negative and pessimistic. You can start making really poor decisions, or you can start engaging in harmful behaviors if they're really bad. So protect yourself. And like I said, I'll get into that, don't worry. But yeah, these things aren't to play with. We're not going in there to play with them. We're really taking some effort, making some effort to protect ourselves and our teams. So negative energies can also attract negative energies. The last thing I'll say about them, or about this section. Misery loves company. And if you have a negative energy on you, it's going to attract other negative energies. It's just got that frequency on you. So you have to be really careful with that. And if you're surrounded by negative energies, all of this, I mean, if you're surrounded by negative energies and you got one at the haunting and then, 10 more just attracted to you, you're going to start feeling the effects. You're going to be tired, sluggish, mood swings, irritability, maybe even some depression and anxiety, could even lead to some other harmful effects. So yeah, they can be vicious. They're not all vicious, but they can be. So what are some of the signs and symptoms of these negative energies? And the problem with these is they're pretty vague and generalized, so it's easy to dismiss them. Take into account your context. Did you recently go on a hunt? Did something strange happen at it? Have you noticed anything strange about it? But on top of that, you're going to pay attention to your physical symptoms like fatigue, headaches, stomach aches, muscle pain, hard time sleeping, nightmares. If you don't normally feel any of that stuff, and then you suddenly do, and it just happens to be starting 3-4 days after you've left a location, that might be something to consider. It might be a reason. You just never know. Just log it. Keep an eye on it. Emotional symptoms will come up too. So I mentioned some: anxiety, depression, and irritability. Feeling drained, absolutely drained, not necessarily even physically drained, but emotionally or mentally drained. You're drained. You have nothing left in the glass. It's gone. So, and of course, feelings of negativity or pessimism. So if those aren't you, take that into account. Mental symptoms will include difficulty concentrating, confusion, negative thoughts, hard time making decisions. Couple of those are native to me, so I have a hard time concentrating. It's one of the reasons I stutter, because I'm already having a hard time concentrating. My ADD pings like you wouldn't believe, and then I have a hard time making decisions. I don't like making decisions, so so I wouldn't be able to consider those. That would be an example for me. If I went to a location and I feel those, I can't rule it out, right? But I also can put in my little mental log that, yeah, I know I'm having a hard time concentrating these days, but I always have a hard time concentrating these days. So chances are it's not a negative energy, that kind of thing. Okay. I'm good. We're good with that, I hope. But you can also have behavioral issues, and these are very noticeable to everyone around you. So you might be engaging in risky or harmful behaviors. All of a sudden you're 54 years old and you get an urge to go drag racing in the middle of town. I've never been drag racing. I don't even know what it is. So if that were to happen to me, I would know that something's up. Withdrawing from social activities again and again, self-isolating, all about that, or abusing drugs and alcohol. If you don't normally do any of those substances, and then all of a sudden you do, and you went to a paranormal event 2 days ago, consider it. I'm not saying that's the reason. I'm just saying consider it as a possibility. And that you have to do a process of elimination after you've talked to the doctors, after you've checked out your emotions with the therapist, after go through the whole process of elimination. And if everything checks out and that's the only thing left, then start to consider it, but keep it in the back of your mind as you're going through your list. So there are a few ways that you can protect yourself from this. I'm going to make my camera go blurry again, I'm sorry, but there are a few ways you can protect yourself. And the first one is to ground yourself. I recommend doing this before you get to the location and before you even get out of your car or whoever's car you're riding. Just take a few minutes to yourself, focus yourself inward, and completely, totally ground yourself. If you absolutely need to, and you have the ability to do so, take off your shoes and put your feet on grass or on dirt, something like that. That's also grounding. I mentioned a couple of grounding techniques in my other video, in my first video, I believe, and also in my second video. So you might check those out. But you could also, to ground yourself before you get there, you could be taking a walk in nature. You could be meditating. You can focus on your connection with the earth. But while you can't do that when you're in the middle of an investigation. You're not going to meditate in the middle of an investigation, not likely anyway. So you have to do it all beforehand, and then you have to do it when you get there, and then in little tiny breaks afterwards, and on your breaks, you might take a few deep breaths or do some square breathing, or do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique, which I also talked about in my first video. Use your visualization. Really, when you're on your break, you're at the location and you're on your break, focus your attention inward again and surround yourself by a white or a golden light. That's considered to be very protective. My own one is, I imagine a beam of light coming from space, way deep in space. And at first it might look like just a little pinprick of a star in the sky. And then, little by little, it's getting bigger, which gives you an idea of how fast it's coming to you. I mean, we're talking warp speeds here, hugely fast. And then when it gets to you, you realize it's huge. It's a big light that's coming at you, looks like a marble column, and then it'll hit your crown chakra, right smack in the middle of it. Get so into it that you actually feel the hit. Oops, I hope that didn't make a sound on the mic. And then if you need to, even do a little jerk, because you want to make this as real as you can. And then it goes down to the bottom of your skull, into your vertebra, and clear down your vertebra and into the base of your spine and out of the base of your spine. And then it continues. It rams itself into the ground, and it keeps going way deep into the ground. And so, of course, then if you're in your visualization and you're walking around, you look like you have a little cord that's holding on to you. And you do. So that's how I ground myself. That's the way I do it. It takes me about 2 minutes, maybe 3, but I've practiced at it. And for me, I get really into it. So use your visualizations. Some crystals, a more controversial aspect of it. There's always controversy in the paranormal. But for crystals, there are certain crystals that are known to be really protective. You can wear them. You can carry them in your pocket. You can hold on to them. You can keep them near you at any time. The crystals that are considered really protective are things like black onyx and tourmaline and hematite or obsidian. I'm not sure it's the color that really matters. These just happen to be black, but it's whatever properties that are considered protective inside of it. And I'm sure there's others. It's just those are the ones that I found for this one, and they were the easiest. A big one for protecting yourself on site is set your boundaries. I'm almost done, you guys. So make sure you set your boundaries. Ghosts start getting aggressive. Ghosts start getting weird to you. Call a quick timeout and say, look, you're not allowed to harass me. You're not allowed to hurt me. You're not allowed to follow me home. You're not allowed to possess me. Whatever boundary that you need to put it in. This has worked about 90% of the time. In my case, in my experience, if a person says that out loud, then they can move on and none of that stuff's going to happen about 90% of the time. So I say do it. If your odds are 9 times out of 10, it's pretty good odds. So, and the last thing that I want to say, and this is another vague one, is trust your intuition. If you feel uneasy about the location or the person who's leading it or anything, if you're feeling uneasy or something just tells you you probably shouldn't go in there, it might be best to avoid it. Err on the side of caution. Your intuition is a really powerful tool that can help you protect yourself from harm. So use it. Those are all of them. The only other thing that I would want to add, and I should have added it at the visualization part, and if I knew how to edit my video, I'd move it. But anyway, so visualization, the thing about visualization is it is scientifically proven, and if you need a reference, I'll get one, that says the brain, the mind, does not know the difference between something you're visualizing or imagining and something that you're actually doing. So if you're visualizing a white or golden light bubbling around you and you've made it so that it's very protective, your brain will think it's a protective barrier. And that can help a lot in the paranormal because these are real subtle. These are energies we're talking about that some people may or may not feel. So the visualization, the imagination can be a really powerful tool for protecting yourself in the paranormal and in other places. So practice it, use it. I will be discussing in a later episode how to use visualization and grounding techniques in these things. So that's all I have to say, folks. I'm so glad you came. Please, 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 please smash the subscribe button, hit the like button, share it with everybody you know. I really want to grow the channel. I think it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I'd also like feedback, good constructive feedback that says, I think you're going in the wrong direction. Do you think maybe you can do? And we'll do that. So do all of that for me. I'd be thrilled to hear from you, and I'll talk to you soon. As soon as I figure out how to close this. There it goes. Bye.